Did you recently receive a letter from the IRS and are freaking out? Watch this video so that I can explain to you what you should do. My name is Anna. I'm the owner of The Tax Boss, and we are a virtual CPA firm where we help clients all over the country play the IRS game just like wealthy people do. Let's get right into it. So you received a letter from the IRS, and this is exactly what's happening through your mind. You are freaking out. You are thinking they're coming for you, they're going to knock on your door, and you're going to jail. First of all, relax. Unless you're doing something illegal, relax, okay? That's literally what I tell my clients all the time. Nothing is happening, again, unless you're doing something illegal. Number 2, read the letter. I know it sounds so crazy, but you need to read the letters. Sometimes they're just literally asking for additional information, okay? So just because you see it's from the IRS doesn't mean you should freak out. Now, remember, the IRS has a job, and their job is to collect as much tax as possible because we're in huge $1 trillion debt, and to make sure that they can poke any holes into your tax situation. They have a job and you have a job. So the majority of these letters, to be honest, are things that you forgot to include in your taxes. So for example, let's say that you traded some stock on E-Trade and you did your own taxes on TurboTax and you forgot to include that because, you would never do it purposely. But sometimes you're like, how are they going to know? They're going to know. They're going to know. Why? Because E-Trade also reports all of that information to the IRS. And what happens is they match your tax return to the stuff that E-Trade has. And they're like, wait a minute, this $10,000 gain that they had over here, it's not really matching to their tax return. So we're just going to send them a letter saying, hey, you missed this $10,000 trade. You owe us an additional $1,500. Here's penalties and interest. If you believe that that is true, then you just kind of accept what they're telling you. You pay the fees and you pay the penalties because it's true, right? Now, if they made a mistake, that's when you can actually call them and say, hey, I don't think this is right. Let's get through this together. My number one suggestion is to make sure that you talk to them and you get the ball rolling. You don't want to leave them hanging. You want to make sure you get on the phone with them and you say, hey, I'm a little confused. Can you help me out? Really, like I said, they're human beings. They're not here to come and take you to jail. They're really just here to do their job. So if you agree with the letter and you're like, you know what, they got me. I did forget that $10,000. Or another one that's really missed is when the cancellation of debt. So for example, let's say the bank, forgives some debt that you had. You have to pay taxes on that if you did not know that. Agree with the letter, pay the IRS, and move on with your life. That is how easy it is. Now, let's say that you get a letter because you're being audited or examined. Again, don't freak out. This is what you should do. My personal opinion, you should not try to handle this on your own. You should hire your CPA who helped you with this tax return. Your CPA is going to understand and be able to talk to the auditor in better terms than you probably are because of the knowledge, right? So first, call your CPA and say, hey, I got this letter. How do we solve this? And let me tell you how an audit goes. We have gone through several. And you get letters from the IRS, you sign a power of attorney so that your CPA is able to represent you, it's able to get the letters, and it's able to talk to the IRS on your behalf. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to review the letter and we're going to ask you questions. Now, here's a big thing. If you have not seen my video about who's actually liable for what's on your tax return, I need you to look at this video. It's a very short reel because you are responsible for it. So when the letter comes, and this is what they'll ask, they'll say, hey, I need you to prove this meals and entertainment that you're saying is $15,000. I need you to send me receipts. That means you do need the receipts, people, okay? A lot of people think bank statements will suffice. You need receipts. How are you going to be able to prove to the IRS that $15,000 was business meals with other investors or your clients or whatever it is, right? You need those receipts. So with that being said, that is where the process starts. It is a long, expensive process, okay? The IRS is short-staffed and they're going to take a while. So when they ask for that information, we will come to you as our client and we will say, hey, you need to provide these records. Now, sometimes you won't have them all, and that is where we come in and we try to fight for the fact that like, hey, you know what? Like here's 90% of them. They didn't have the receipts for the other. So can you help us out, IRS? And as long as you're nice to the IRS, in my opinion, the auditors have always been super extremely understandable. If you make a mistake, let them know. Again, you're not going to jail if you're not doing anything illegal. You're human and you might have made a mistake. The biggest thing is that it takes a long time and it can be really expensive. Now, really intricate audits are when you are really like real estate professional status. If you don't know what that is, I'll leave the video here. Short-term rental loophole, again, I'll leave the video here. That's when it gets really tricky because you need to prove a lot of law and a lot of case law. So again, I would not recommend this doing on your own, but the results can be in your favor or against you. And at the end of the day, if you agree with what they're telling you after 3 to 6 months, then you pay the fees and the penalties. If you do not agree with them, what you need to do is fight it, and then you have to go to court and all these things. Now, I'm not saying that's not the best route, but sometimes they're right. But if you feel really good about your case, then you might have to go to court. Again, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars and hundreds and thousands of dollars from a refund or a tax liability due. Therefore, don't freak out. I hope this video made you feel a lot better about audits. And if you like it, please make sure you like and you subscribe or you share with others who might be going through the same issue.